Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to have you all here. Can you just let me know in the comments if you can hear and see me okay? I am thrilled to bring this new live client case study to you. Yes, we are actually live right now. You could test me in the chat. We do these very regularly, and we love to share the success of our clients and our members in the Authority Accelerator program. Hello to so many people tuning in. We see you, Darla and Sarah. I see a few Authority Accelerator members here. So hello, hello, hello. And more people are joining, which is very exciting. Hi, Phil from Wisconsin. Hello, Lewis from Springfield, Missouri. Michael, Stephen, Avery and Brian from California. Concept creators. Hello, Louis B. Let's see, Akiko, Phil, Mortiza, amazing. We're so happy to have you here. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Sunny Lenarduzzi. I'm the founder of the Authority Accelerator program, and we help people who are subject matter experts scale their skill set, scale their knowledge, scale their expertise for more income, impact, and authority through online programs, so online courses. So today I have a really exciting story to share with you. Before I do, please do go ahead and give this a like wherever you're tuning in from. Be sure to share it with somebody that could benefit from hearing this story because it's actually incredible. Can't wait to share the details with you. And yeah, we're just so thrilled to have a global audience with us here right now. So let me give you a little intro before I bring our special guests on. Hi, Pete. A little intro to our incredible guests. So Margarita and Dixon are two incredible Authority Accelerator clients who have totally transformed their lives in ways that are kind of shocking. And we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty details throughout this live case study, and it's going to be so value-packed for you as well. So they've gone from overwhelmed attorneys to having a thriving online education business. Their story is a blueprint for freedom, impact, and thriving in your zone of genius. So a couple highlights from them. They transitioned from a traditional law practice to an online course model. They replaced both of their full-time attorney incomes in 18 months. They enrolled 133 couples into their online program, which we're going to talk more about in a second. They've achieved incredible results with their couples that they work with. And again, I'm going to share more about what they do and how they support people when I bring them on. They've gained the freedom to work anywhere in the world, built a business that consistently maintains high customer satisfaction, and created a streamlined, scalable system to guide couples through the immigration process, which they're going to dive into when I bring them on. So before I do, be sure to give this a like, be sure to share it out. Who is excited? Put excited into the chat. I'm so happy you're here, and let's go ahead and bring on our very special guests. Welcome, Dixon and Margarita. Hi.
Hey, Sonny. Okay, thanks for having us on.
Is it weird to hear that intro in the background?
No, I just couldn't believe that I was hearing about myself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing. Your story is incredible. So let's kind of start right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, and tell us a little bit about your journeys as entrepreneurs, because you didn't start as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, definitely didn't start, but I will say that we probably did have entrepreneurial aspirations for a long time. You know, for a long time, it was this desire to have our own thing, to not be trapped into something more traditional that locked us in with both our time and financially and geographically. And so we, over the years, came up with many different ideas of what we thought was going to be the way we do it, you know, but ultimately it really materialized from our personal experience that Margarita will share.
Yeah, and the experience was my immigration experience to the United States. It was extremely traumatic in many ways. It took such a long time. It was difficult on many different aspects. At the time, you know, it was over 10 years ago, attorneys were dropping quotes of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, which was not affordable for me at the time. And
that was just for like partial steps of her process, you know, not the whole deal. That's just this one right here.
Yeah, and because the experience was so emotional, every immigrant can relate to that it's always like there's so many fears around, you know, being deported and all kinds of stuff that we're hearing in the news even these days. And yeah, that ultimately led me to go to law school. I knew I was going to go to law school, and I knew that I was going to do it differently. I didn't know how at the time, but I knew I was going to go to law school, and Dixon joined me.
Yeah. When we met, I was actually working as an engineer, and you know, law school wasn't entirely not on the radar for me. I was interested in actually doing patent law because, you know, kind of as an engineer, aspiring inventor, I thought, you know, I'd like to figure out how to protect these things for myself. And again, legal inaccessibility was something very real to me at that time too. So lo and behold, it just turned out that I had to figure it out for myself. But yeah, after we graduated, Margarita went straight into starting her own immigration law practice, and I went into patent law.
Incredible.
But yeah, obviously when I started in immigration practice, I realized what was wrong with the system. Like everything became very clear. So the business model itself was just not working. So it was not a sustainable business model, and it makes perfect sense why attorneys charge so much in fees and why they don't really give you much in return. Not always, but more often than not. And the biggest thing I realized was lacking was the understanding of the process. So people would pay us the fees, we do the work, but they don't understand what goes into it. They're completely clueless on what's happening here, and that's what gives them crazy anxiety. And I'm in immigration space. Like, people are overthinking immigration as is. So that's when I came to realize, okay, this is just not going to work. This is a broken business model, and we need to do differently. Like, I didn't go to law school to do things differently, to then do it the exact same way as everybody else was doing it. So,
right. I think that's such a huge part of your story and so inspiring, because you are disrupting the space. You are disrupting the norm inside of this industry. And I know that comes with its own challenges and hurdles and all of these things, but you've done it. And I think that's a huge aspect of what I wanted to share when it came to your story, is that you have pushed through a lot of the odds and the obstacles, and you're getting the most incredible results for your couples. And it's so near and dear to your heart, which we often talk about. Oftentimes, the thing that you are most meant to share with the world and make an impact with is something that is either an experience you've had, or career experience, or just something related to your own story and journey as well. So this is kind of all of those things wrapped into one. So I'm not surprised you all have done as well as you have. And what a treat for me to be on this journey with you from day one. I'm so happy we're here. We were talking behind the scenes and saying how overdue this was. But I'm just so excited to share your story now. Were you going to say something?
Yeah. And you remember like all those conversations that we had when I was like, okay, so how is this going to go? Like, we're lawyers. We're doing this kind of non-traditional thing. Like, I'm afraid of losing my license. That's number one thing that they gave us, right? This conditioning of being afraid of doing something outside the box. So when it came to transitioning from law firm to this business model, wow, there was like mental block after mental block after mental block. It was truly difficult in as far as how am I going to go from this traditional way of doing it to something entirely non-traditional, and what are other lawyers going to say? How is this all going to look like? But the moment that we kind of switched focus from one thing to this thing, everything just blossomed. Everything worked out. So that was,
I love it.
Awesome.
You followed your gut, and that never steers you wrong. So I love to hear that. So let's get really specific about exactly how you help people and how it is related to your own story. So you can tell me a little bit about your program.
Yeah, so our program, we call it the Marriage Immigration Method. It helps basically couples where one spouse is a U.S. citizen and the other spouse is a foreign immigrant who is present in the United States. And we take them from getting their initial green card all the way until they naturalize and become a U.S. citizen, essentially helping these couples establish their lives together and the ability to build a future and achieve their American dream.
Yeah. So let's just imagine a scenario. Somebody's already in the U.S., right? They already have previous immigration experience in some capacity. Maybe they're in the US on a work visa or on a student visa, whatever the situation is. And now it's just time for them to transition to the marriage green card, but they're clueless. So every couple comes to us, they're like, we don't know where to start. Like, we look online and there's just so much misinformation, first of all, like we don't even know what to trust. And people are just lost. They don't know what to do. So we really view this as an alternative to paying thousands and thousands of dollars to a lawyer who doesn't really like explain to you what goes into the process, and you're still kind of kept in the dark, and an alternative to doing it entirely yourself, because I did it entirely myself. I handled my entire immigration process by myself, but I made so many mistakes along the way. Aside from time that I wasted, just the anxiety and stress that I experienced over the years, it was not worth it. Meaning I did not do it for free. Ultimately, I ended up paying so much more than I would otherwise. So yeah, that's.
I mean, you have your own battle scars. We always say that. It's like you've learned through experience, so you can make the path for somebody else that much more effective and efficient, which is the beauty of having an online program that truly works, is like you're giving them the most efficient path to save them time, money, headaches, emotional pain, all of those things, which you're doing. So I want to dig into some of the tactics So first and foremost, we're going to talk about how you went from 60-hour work weeks to 20-hour work weeks, and shifted to a freedom-based business model in a very traditional industry, which is incredible. The second thing we're going to dig into is the secret to getting consistent results for your couples, for your members in your program, and then how you cracked the code on YouTube to build trust and generate consistent clients and members in a very saturated market. So I'm super excited to dive in. I also just wanted to mention as well, if this is all sounding kind of interesting to you, this is what we do. So we help subject matter experts transform their knowledge and their skill set into highly scalable online education businesses. So you can go ahead and go to sunnylandreasy.com/learn more. And that is the space to go to if you want to book a free course consultation with Steve on our team, who is wonderful and lovely. So all you have to do is sunnylandreasy.com/learn more. And that should be one word, learn more. So I just wanted to drop that link for you as well. Okay, so let's start with the first piece here. 60-hour work weeks, yuck, to 20-hour work weeks. How'd you do it? How did you shift to this business model, especially given the background of everyone around you probably saying, you're crazy. The only way to do this is the traditional way. How'd you do it?
Well, I would say the first thing that happened was,
enrolling in AA.
Yeah.
That was step number one.
That was pretty much step number one.
But anyhow, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing is we kind of started off with one of us is going to go full in and try to make a business happen. That was Margarita. I was going to be the one who was going to go into the patent space and try to hold down the fort and give her the support she needed. And really, it started becoming apparent right away that it was just going to be difficult to make it happen. As a lawyer, you take everything, at least for me working at the firm, they have crazy expectations. They require a lot of work to be done. And it's the same even when you go about it on your own, because at that point, you're willing to take whatever comes in the door, no matter what process it is. Sometimes it's not even in the same, in the same legal space. It could be immigration, it could be family, it could be something even random. And the issue with that is it becomes very unsustainable very quickly. And the time you need to work scales with that. You have multiple systems that you have to run, multiple legal processes you have to figure out and navigate.
Your marketing is all over the place.
Yeah. And what ended up happening was a lot of people gave Margarita a lot of feedback that, okay, but I'm doing a lot of this myself. I have a lot of this information. Could you just kind of guide us and help us see? And that's kind of when we started to connect the dots that maybe we could just teach people to do this. I mean, Margarita did it herself. Why couldn't she teach someone else to do the same? And yeah, we got into AA, and something you say all the time is you got to niche down to blow up, and it couldn't be more true. It's contrary to what everyone thinks, but when you niche down, you're not limiting yourself. You're not self-limiting in any way. You're actually tapping into something like the main line, of untapped potential, and it expands quickly.
You're basically laser focusing on just one process. And what it means is that, okay, now your marketing makes way more sense because you are not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. You're actually speaking to a person who you need to be speaking with, and you're giving them a good customer experience in that they're also understanding and learning from you at the stage where they are. So niche down to blow up, it was so counterintuitive. I feel like
it's so counterintuitive. It's like pushing a boulder uphill for most people.
Yes, it's like everything we learned in business thus far, even when it comes to YouTube, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but we all think that you need to have these vanity metrics, you have to have crazy views, you need to have crazy everything. And then if you don't, you just get down on yourself, but it couldn't be further from the truth. And it's just mind blowing, basically everything that we learned. That was the exact kind of opposite of what we were assuming prior to joining AA.
Those words are music to my ears. So I'm very excited to dig into the YouTube piece. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so obviously niching down to blow up. So actually, if we could kind of give a tangible example of this, because I know coming from the traditional space, you really are. You're trying to kind of serve and support everybody with everything. And that makes marketing so difficult because who the heck are you talking to? And how do you actually, it's sort of we call it blanket marketing. It's just throw whatever out there and hope somebody actually wants to work with you. As opposed to this, when you niche down to blow up, you're really focusing, like we said, on attracting the right person at the right space and time. So Could you give me a little example of the difference or the juxtaposition of marketing in a traditional law firm versus how you market now?
Easy. This is so easy. It's so easy. I can give it to you. So basically, when you're a lawyer, like let's say an immigration lawyer, you're handling like at least 20, 30 different processes. At least. Every process is entirely different. Everything that goes into it is entirely different. Whatever forms you need to be submitting, evidence to the US government, all of it is very, very different. Okay, so thus in your marketing, you need to be speaking to all these different people. It's not even doable.
So then you just say, hey, I do X law, come sign up, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and it appeals to no one, like, because nobody resonates with that. And then you just look like every other lawyer saying the exact same thing. And it's not to say like that there aren't lawyers who are focused on like very niche things. They do exist. And that's really amazing because I do believe they have more sustainable business models. But
for sure,
for us, you know, we're focusing on couples who have not filed yet. They're in the United States already. One spouse is a US citizen. Like these are things that have like really narrowed down who we're looking for. But then as soon as we know who these people are, we know exactly what questions they're asking. And then as a result of knowing what they're asking, we know exactly what we need to put out there to
answer their questions.
To answer their question. And then we show up, and it's a great opportunity for them to find a solution to their problem.
Yeah, that's that.
Oh, I was going to say, do you have something to add there, Margarita? You look like
yes, again, I'm going back to YouTube, but we're going to talk about it in a second. I know that, so we're going to go back to that.
We're going to get to YouTube in a second, but all of this conversation, and if you're having any light bulbs while watching this, please drop them in the chat, because I can say this 50 million ways, but it is helpful to hear it from people who are actually applying it to their own businesses. So if you're having a light bulb, please do share them in the comment section with us, because it's just so great to hear what you're taking away from this. And that's the reason we do this. We want to inspire you, and we also want to add a ton of value for you if you're thinking about creating a program, to give you some hope and some reality that like this is doable. We've been doing this for 6 years. 6 years we've had the Authority Accelerator, which is crazy. So very excited to dig into the next part of this, because everything we just spoke about in terms of niching down to blow up and having the right business model that is scalable, it feeds right into the secret to getting consistent results for your couples. And at the end of the day, if your program doesn't get people results, it just will not last. It will not last more than a flash in the pan launch. And we've seen that happen so many times. So for you, I mean, you're seeing incredible results. It's more than 50% of your clients are actually getting, I don't want to script the verbiage, so you say it for me, but like getting approved for the green cards?
Yeah, they're getting approvals just 60% faster than national average. There are many factors that contribute to it, but it's crazy, and it's been really beautiful to see.
It's just so streamlined. They literally get in and they're not wasting any time. They just get to do exactly what they need to do, because let's say they work with a lawyer. Well, it's going to take a law for a minimum 2 to 3 months to prepare their application. A lot of back and forth. Here, they sit down 2 weeks and they're done. They literally submit it to the US government. And you know, it's very important, especially right now, like with everything that's going in the US, there's just so much rush in as far as, well, you can't fall, you know, you can't be visa overstay. You can't basically jeopardize yourself because it's way too risky. And having an ability to just come in and get it done, in addition to so many different things, you know, like if let's say their work permit is stuck, we give them instructions on how to expedite it. If let's say their case is taking more than 12 months to process, we give them instructions on how they can reach out to their local representatives and get bug the USCIS to get that done. So it's as streamlined as it can possibly be, not just in form filing, but all the steps that they need to take that basically go into this process.
And that's what I'll say to everybody who's listening here, who's interested in starting your own online course business, AA is going to streamline the process for you. It's just the steps you need to take, and it simplifies it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Are we talking about YouTube yet, or
no? Not quite yet. We're almost there. But all of these things inform YouTube. Like YouTube does not work if you don't do these pieces, and that's why we don't start there. We don't start with YouTube first, because we know, well, every single day we get applications from people all over the world to work with us inside of the Authority Accelerator. And some of those applications are people with 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and no revenue, literally can't pay their rent. I actually just shared a video on my main channel about that today. So the key is everything that we're speaking about, knowing who your ideal client is. So a big piece of getting consistent client results comes down to what we call the 3 factors, which there's probably people here who haven't heard that before, but you and I are probably very sick of hearing about it. But it's something that really, yes, it's burned in your brain. Through working with thousands of people over the years, and learning the process for myself over and over and over again, there are 3 key factors to who your ideal client is. And if you don't know them, you're going to attract the wrong people. And those 3 factors inform your offer and make sure that your offer is as good as it can be and as effective and efficient as it can be, so that you have the right starting point for people, as you said, to get into the program and get the result as quickly as they can. So what I would love for you to kind of share is, like, the right ideal client. Share somebody who would be too early on the journey and like wouldn't be a match for your 3 factors.
Well, for one, this would be somebody who's maybe, let's think about that. Well, definitely we get people who reach out. It's maybe not necessarily too early, but it can be considered that. It's that they reach out and you have basically a partner they're maybe not married yet, but that partner is still in their home country.
Right.
And
it's a completely
different process, right. For instance. Yeah.
Another thing is, like, people reach out because they see all over the internet that there's this fiancé visa thing. So they think that the only way to immigrate, like, through the partner is that way.
Right.
Another example could be that people, it's a good point. Like, I don't think people reach out to us when they're not really ready.
Right, that's the right. Well, that means your marketing is very good.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I can't even think. We've had people in the past who would reach out and they would be like, hey, I'm planning on going through this process like 1.5 years from today.
That's
and
awesome.
It's like, well, there's no point in us speaking because everything will change by the time you need to go through this. So
right. Exactly. I mean, I think that the key part of this is if once you understand what the 3 factors are, and really the most important part of that is what we call the tipping point. So for your members, your couples, what is their exact tipping point that they are ready for your program?
Usually they've already researched this process a little bit. Like, they obviously know that they're getting married. They know that the green card, they must go through this process.
Or they've gotten married already.
Yeah, they're not happy that they have to go through this because they know it's a pain, but they know they have to, and they're about to embark on this journey. They've already researched a bit. Maybe they've even spoken to a few lawyers. That's always our ideal clients, because they come to us and they're like, no way I could do that. Well, I would really love to work with you guys, because no way this is going to work for me. Because again, there's so much gatekeeping, right? Like, even people pay like $300-400 for a consultation, and they're not getting their questions answered. Like, they are not getting the information that they need, and they need that reassurance, because they're like, but I'm afraid. Like, I don't know, is this going to work for me? Are we going to be able to stay together? Like, a lot is on the line, right? So
yeah, and ultimately people just want they want to get started. They want to get started right. They want to know that they're going to be able to get their status and be able to safely be in the country, stay with their spouse, build their lives together. So really, it's like a lot on the line, and they don't want to start it and potentially make a mistake that can delay it, or even worse. So they're at the stage where they're like, this is very important to me. I'm about ready to get started because I don't want to wait any longer. And like, I need a solution.
How do I do it right?
Yeah. How do I do it right?
How do I do it right? And how do I do it in the most efficient process? And I always say that people are paying for their time. They're paying to make sure that they're not wasting their time and energy, because it is an exhausting process. And if you're not the expert on it, where are you going to go to learn about? There's so much information out there. There's so much misinformation out there that this could probably be very, very daunting as a process if you don't have the right person to go to. So something I wanted to touch on there as we talk about, like, the 3 factors of the ideal client, knowing exactly who they are, their tipping point when they're most ready to get results, and the outcome that they're seeking. Once you have those 3 things, that perfectly informs your offer, which is your online program. And that's really the methodology that we teach. And we harp on knowing those things so much because it makes your marketing that much better. And that's why you guys don't get people coming to you at the wrong spot, which is great. But part of this, which I think can be confusing for folks, is because you came from this traditional model of a law firm where you were probably helping people at all different stages with all different processes, and it's exhausting, it's hard for people to wrap their head around how an online education business works. And we really call it modern consulting, because essentially, where people are coming in, the exact starting point for them. So then you create a very effective curriculum to take them from their 0 state to their hero state. So for you all, what is the 0 state? What's the hero state?
So the 0 state is that they're about to start this process, and they don't really like.
They're lost.
They're lost. They have maybe pretty good idea about what they need to do, but fundamentally they're concerned that they are either going to miss something or the government's going to
There are too
possibly
many
mess
moving
up.
pieces, too many
Right.
moving pieces that they have to literally combine and put together, and they
Right.
don't know where to start, and they don't know how to put what pieces are and how to put them together.
Right. And then
And-
the hero state is what?
I
The
mean,
exact opposite of
yeah,
that.
yeah. The hero state is that they fully understand everything that's happening. They're entirely empowered. They've got the ability to take care of things on their own terms, on their own schedules, in the way that they want to, and without any sort of like reliance that could be detrimental on anyone else.
I love
And
it.
they literally take it step by step. It's broken into linear fashion where just step by step you're taking this approach and you get all of your stuff done. It's
Yes.
as easy as it can possibly be.
So that all gets summarized into what we call the transformation statement. And I just want you all to hear the transformation statement, because this is why everything you do has been so clear. And this is why you get really good members inside of your program and couples inside your program. So it is, we help immigrant couples go from unsure how to responsibly handle their marriage immigration from inside the United States to confidently navigating their immigration journey in a way that has the best chance of being done properly on the first try, so they can complete this process as efficiently as possible to achieve their American dreams. Like, it couldn't be more clear. So then that becomes the foundation of, okay, well, how are we going to build the curriculum? Well, it's pretty easy. You're going to build a curriculum that's going to take them from that zero state to the hero state, with them saving as much time as possible in doing so. And because that's the case, then you can package that curriculum, and it allows you to not have to customize to every single client coming in, which is where we get stuck in the time trap and trading time for money. So I would really love for you both to talk about that shift of when you started to put the online program out there and you were able to detach your time from your income because you had this thing, this curriculum that was able to get people results without your constant involvement. What did that feel like? How did it affect your brain? Like, what was that like?
Wild.
Yeah, it's wild.
Just wild. I don't know if I fully still comprehend like what happened here. Like, to be completely, not that I'm hearing it, I'm like, am I really on this call? Like, are we really having this conversation? It's wild because it's just so new. Like, I feel like we're like, even our friends and family, they don't really know what we're doing because it's so like outside.
It doesn't make sense.
The norm that was expected of us, when we were going through law school and everything.
But
so
I will say it's an entire, like, a major relief. You have freedoms that were just not possible, not accessible to us before. And yeah, while we maybe don't fully comprehend it like all the time, we definitely enjoy this life that it has given us. It made such an impact. It's just incredible.
And another thing is that it's also the impact that we're giving to our members because we're always available to them. Like, things come up, right? Questions come up, some concerns come up. Like, the government, like, it's very difficult to deal with the US government when it comes to immigration. So they kick things back, and we're instantly available to them because of the way the business is designed. So they have a peace of mind that, wow, no matter what. That's why we have people refer people to us, like on such scale, because it's like, wow, this is an experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. And it is because we're working with one specific client on one specific part of their journey, and
detached from time, as you said, and it allows us to show up more for everybody.
Exactly. You can go deeper with folks because they have 99% of what they need inside of the curriculum to be able to access that on their own time. And then you can really customize your support and still free up your time as well. You mentioned that it's afforded you some freedoms that you're really grateful for. Can you just touch on what some of those freedoms are?
I mean, we've been able to travel like all the time.
I mean, it's every freedom freedom that we can imagine, like financial freedom, time freedom, obviously geographic freedom is huge to us because sometimes we just want to go and experience Colombian coffee country. We love Colombia, we love Mexico, we love so many different countries, and that's another thing. Like, you have this experience too, but we get to work with people from all over the world. Like, they tell us, like, their stories. We like spouses from literally everywhere, and we now have couples from 56 different countries that we get to work with. So we, like, Dixon not long ago made a map, like, with all the places that our couples are coming from, and it's
filling up.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think part of that too is like, you've worked with 133 couples at this point, I think, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So even that alone is you're scaling impact. Like that is the biggest part of this. You're scaling impact while detaching your time from your income, which is really hard for people to digest. It's like you're actually able to help more people, but with less of your time involved. But you are able to be present and show up fully because you're not exhausted and burnt out all the time as you were when you were lawyers. So I can only imagine what a shift that's been for both of you.
Yeah, such a positive feedback loop too. I mean, sometimes it's hard to take ourselves away from work because it's
exciting.
Yeah,
when you love it.
It finally got exciting, like literally, because of course in the beginning, you know, like when you were first looking into it, when you were first figuring it out, you Sunny know, because you remember me and all my questions that came up over the years. But anyhow, there's a moment when everything just changes, and it changes. It's truly unreal. It's impossible. I can't even put it into words because it's not something that I thought it was possible. I was dreaming that it was possible, but I didn't know it was possible until it happened through AA. Yeah.
Well, you are the living manifestation of what we aim to do for people. So one, you're making an incredible ripple effect and impact in the world. And two, you've also gotten your lives back. And that's like the biggest kudos ever. So we're just so happy to share your story. And it's just the beginning, really. Like we've worked together for a couple of years, but I cannot wait to see where this goes for you guys. So I want to get into YouTube because we're very excited to talk about it. So how you cracked the YouTube code to build trust and generate consistent couples enrolling into your program in a very saturated market. Like this is a very saturated industry, especially in today's day and age, especially what's going on in the political environment. So how did you do it? What were the key indicators of you being able to get to this place where you're getting these consistent new couples enrolling into the program without you having to market as hard?
Okay, so do you remember our conversation? I remember how it was time for us to kind of transition into YouTube. And I was like, okay, so, but can we actually grow on YouTube? Like, is it possible? And you were like, okay, my entire business is built on that. So yeah, it is possible. You just got to trust it, okay? And I didn't trust it because I was like, but there's so many people on YouTube. How is this going to go? Okay, fast forward to today. There's literally nobody on YouTube who talks about marriage green card from inside the United States. We're literally the only people who are talking on it. Why? Because we're so niched on this subject matter.
And I'll even say that if, you know, we are very fortunate that happened, but even if you don't have the ability to have the one niche, there are many things about you because of your experience, you know, like what path you walked that differentiates you from everybody else. And it's not an issue. There's no such thing as competition here. And truly, like the success in YouTube comes from niching down. It comes from knowing your 3 factors and having your offer really identified, because from there, you're speaking to exactly the person who needs you the most. And as a result, YouTube becomes your buddy.
YouTube becomes your best friend. And at the end of the day too, I think people forget it's called you too. So it's like, it is based on your own unique experience and your own knowledge. And I talk about this so often, especially in the age of AI and with more content creators than ever. I'm going to date myself here, but when I started on YouTube, nobody was talking about social media. I think I was one of maybe 3 people who was talking about social media. And so there was not a lot of supply, but a big demand. Now there's just an overwhelming amount of supply of information, and people are sick of it. There is just way too much info out there to sift through. And people, like I said, they want experts. So for me, it is the most exciting time ever to be an actual authority, to be an actual expert, because all of the people who have been just copycatting what other people are saying and doing, they are falling by the wayside, because AI can do that. You know, Google can do that. If you have true battle scars, hard-earned expertise, oh man, there has never been a better time than right now. And how exciting is that? Because it can allow you to really impact the people who need you the most, and you're going to be seen by the people who need you the most. So that's something I just wanted to share, because I think people get freaked out by AI and content and all that stuff, but it's actually the most exciting time ever for that. So
yeah, it's beautiful. I just want to add, it's beautiful. And actually, if anybody is truly afraid of AI, like, just, you got to know that it can only make you like blossom
stronger.
Yes, stronger, truly.
Yeah, because it's only as good as the input. So if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, it's not really going to work.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And again, like for those who are afraid of YouTube, because I legitimately was afraid of it. I was like, okay, it's been around for like over a decade, or how long now, or 2 decades.
And we've never like filmed ourselves and put anything online ever before this moment.
And that's another thing. Like, how is this all going to go? And at the end of it, we have a channel that's called Marriage Green Card. Like, it was not taken, you know, we got the Marriage Green Card literally handle on YouTube, and we're the only ones talking on that specific subject. So, and again, like he said, you know, everybody has their own specific angle. Like, it's always unique, and that's all that matters.
And that specific angle has to come from those 3 factors. It has to come from the preliminary work to inform your marketing to make it even better. So I think something I want to touch on when it comes to YouTube, because I think this is often misunderstood, is that you're not approaching YouTube as creators. You're approaching YouTube as business owners. So what was that like for you? And if you can kind of explain how you approach it now, I think it'll help people to really digest it.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're right. It's not about being a creator, because that kind of implies that you're just going out there and you're just blasting content for the sake of content. But when you show up as a business owner, it's truly about how can I articulate that I can help these people? I can actually make a major difference in their lives. And so then it always comes down to, how do I use this platform in a way that, you know, we show up, we help these people, and at the same time, we have a viable solution that we can basically say, hey, you know, I understand you if you're struggling with this, if you really don't want to go about it all alone, we have the ability to assist you here. And we have a lot of people that we've done this with before. And so you can rest assured knowing you're in safe hands.
And I feel like it's about focusing on the right things. Like we talked earlier, it's not about vanity metrics. Like, obviously as a content creator, that's what you would be focusing on. But here you're focusing on an entirely different stuff, you know, and stuff.
Okay, break that down, because the people need to hear it, Margarita.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's just,
it took a second even for, you know, for us to understand it, because it's so ingrained. Like, people literally believe that those who have millions of subscribers, they make millions of dollars. And then it turns out that that's actually the complete reverse of what's going on here. So it's eye-opening.
I would just say, you know, we have less than 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's replaced literally. We don't have to work as lawyers. We don't have to supplement our income. It all is coming from there. And it's because we're able to speak to the exact person who needs our exact transformation. And it's not about, you know, posting viral things that just like stir up, you know, views and stuff. Because what's the conversion rate on that? Nobody cares, you know, if they're just getting emotionally triggered. But when I show up or Margarita shows up on a piece of content that really talks to the person who is really experiencing this pain point or this struggle in their life, and we can present
and they actually get value out of what we're saying. They're actually learning, because couples come to us and we always ask them, right? Like, why did you decide to come on this call and work with us? Because it's so different, you know, from the traditional approach. And they always say, well, it's because you explain it so well. Like, I really understand like what goes into it. And I just want you guys to guide me through this process, because it's scary. And I don't want to do it myself, and I don't want to do it alone, and I don't want to mess it up because too much is on the line. So it's huge.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Dixon? I
was just going to say that, just back to your original question, showing up as a business owner and not a content creator, you're not like in this rat race. You can be very intentional, and you're rewarded for it.
Well, and I think a big piece of that, so Phil asked in the comments, what does YouTube need to know about you to help you? So what all YouTube needs to know, and this is true of every social media platform, when you approach it as a business owner, it needs to know, who are you serving? And what are you serving them with? So what do you want to be the authority on? Once you can make content that reflects that, that starts to build your authority and starts to build your trust. And how beautiful is it that for you both, and just on a tactical level, when you approach YouTube as a business owner and you actually have something of service to offer, you're creating content that is search specific. You're creating content so that anybody in the world who is looking up how to leverage this process, they're overwhelmed by the process, they're at that zero state, anything that they would be searching, you all are popping up, and they're going, oh my gosh, this person sees me, they understand me, they get it, I can trust them. And that leads to them going, I think I want to take the next step and actually have them guide me through the process, which leads to this very organic, natural magnet for trust building, authority building, and lead conversion as well. So the thing that I wanted to harp on here, though, is that this wouldn't happen and YouTube wouldn't work this way if we didn't do this in a very specific order, which is why the Authority Accelerator is laid out the way it is. We have to know who you're serving. We have to know what the offer is. We have to have on-demand lead generation first from other platforms, whatever that may be, email, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever it may be. Maybe not TikTok anymore, but
not anymore.
not anymore. No. But from other on-demand platforms, we can test our messaging.
Yes.
And then move into YouTube once we've solidified messaging and we know it's going to work kind of straight off the bat. So it's important to understand the order of events here. And like I said, I've been working with you both for years and I've seen the growth and the progress and like, yes, financially the growth, which is incredible. The fact that you've more than replaced your salaries individually, like it's amazing that this is your full-time thing, but also it's just the growth in terms of like the freedom you've been able to achieve, the impact that you're having on these people. You are changing lives, especially in such a disruptive time right now. Like the work you're doing is so important. So this is why we do what we do. And it's just really cool to see the ripple effect of what you all are creating in the world as well.
It's also the personal growth, right, that we've experienced. Like you remember me specifically, I'm sure, just like a couple of years ago, like how things were, how like I was so stressed out. You know, I left that industry, the legal industry. I was completely messed up. Like I seriously was. I was so scared. I was really afraid of like taking certain actions. I was very much afraid of being on camera. Like I was terrified. I was like, so people are going to see me speak online. Like, how is this going to go? It was really, really difficult. And even as a couple, you know, we've really grown together because initially when he joined me in this business, obviously the roles were not defined. It was a challenging period where we were kind of like trying to figure out how is this going to go, a bit of tension. But then when the roles got defined, when we saw like what our strengths individually were, wow, things just like, they just explode. They just go, it's magic. It's
I love
really
it. I'm so happy for you both. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time here, including you guys, and I don't want to go on too much longer, but a couple last questions I wanted to ask you. What do you think made the biggest difference for you both in being in the Authority Accelerator?
Well, there's many things, like truly. One of the big ones was having clarity and structure. So from day one, because we had the program, we knew exactly what we needed to do. So there was no wasting time, no guessing, none of that. Like we could just get down to it. And that was huge.
Yeah. And, you know, we did connect with some members of AA later on who actually tried to kind of watch your content and piece it together and just do it on their own. And they literally just wasted time. So they commented on the fact that you guys did the right thing. You started right away and you didn't waste any time. So that's why we made such progress. And then obviously YouTube strategy, like no way was I going to figure out YouTube. I was just not gonna touch it, you know? So the fact that you taught us YouTube gave me personally confidence that we can do it. Now it's generating us like minimum 50 to 60 inbound leads, all organic. We do not need to do anything. Like here the other day, he told me, you know, because we obviously have some lists that we share with couples, and he's telling me, you know, hundreds of people are downloading it every day and getting value from what we're sharing. So YouTube was huge.
And then the other one is that being in AA, being a part of the community and being, associated with everybody, it expands your mindset. Like you see other people making success feel achievable, like truly.
Yeah, it was huge because obviously in the beginning, there was a lot of doubt, a lot of insecurity, and seeing Joffrey, Brandon, like we're huge fans of Mike and Liz, and you, Sunny, obviously, just seeing what is possible. When people casually drop that, yeah, you know, I make $50,000 per month, or I make $100,000 per month, or somebody's like, I make $150,000 per week. And we're like, okay, this was not possible until I heard this, until I saw it. And that's when it became a reality. So
I love it. Thank you for that. Well, I know that there are a few people here who have watched a lot of these. I see you. And if you are at a place where you're like, I think I kind of know what I want to do, and I think I want to create an online program, and this is making it feel doable and achievable, just go to sunnyleonarduzzi.com/learn more. There's the link in the comments. There's also the link on the screen, and you can book a free course consultation call with Steve. This is not a sales call. It's actually simply set up to better understand what you want to do and how we can help you get there. So wanted to just mention that. And the final thing I wanted to ask you is, if people are sitting here right now and they're kind of on the fence and they're like, I've been watching a ton of these, I want to be one of these case studies, I want to be part of the Authority Accelerator, what advice would you give them to get off the fence?
do it right now. So here's how it worked. Just so that
Very
you
simple. We're gonna end there.
Right now. Seriously. No, here's how it worked out. So I was completely depressed in my law firm. I was completely messed up. How is this all going to go? And at some point, the idea of online course came, right? Because people were kind of communicating it to me.
Okay, so I go and I search on YouTube how to, make an online course, and 2 videos come up, yours and someone else's. I watch both. The next day, I show her.
He shows me only your video, and he's like, let's watch another one. And I'm like, no, we don't need to watch another one. Let's just schedule a call with them. And then the next day we were enrolled. That's it.
Wow.
It was from seeing you for the first time to being a part of a AA. It was less than 48 hours.
Wow.
So,
and that's the power of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
Yep.
I love it.
System.
The study system. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that story. And like, I think to kind of like harp on that point of authority, and also when people are in pain, they're going to seek you out. You all were looking for how to do what I do. I made a video on how to do what I do, and you found me. And here we are a couple of years later. It's pretty incredible. I also just wanted to say it's pretty cool when people have light bulb moments on these live case studies. And we had somebody comment, listening to this video, I just found my niche. Out of the blue, as usual, I don't know how or why, but it came to me. So thank you. We're really happy to hear that. Amazing. So yeah, like I said, if you're interested in taking, a next step and really speaking to somebody who's an expert on this topic, go to sendingleadereasy.com/learn more. You're going to speak to Steve, who's amazing, on my team, and it's a free course consultation. There's no expectation on it. It's really set up to support you on your journey, if this is even something that you're trying to noodle on right now. Anything you want to add before we sign off here?
We're just very grateful to you.
Yeah.
We're very grateful for the message that you send out there, right? Your message is always, don't trade time for money. Don't
make impact, find peace, profitability, all of it. And it resonates, and it's been like a guiding light for us that we've tried to stay in alignment with.
Yeah, do less versus do more. Simplicity is key. Like, drop all these other things that you do. They're not doing anything good for you. Like, free up your time. This is the message that you've been pushing out. And I felt resistance just again from conditioning. We've been conditioned to work more, because when you work more, you make more. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth, first of all. Like, now I see where it's coming from, but I'm very, very grateful. This is the message that you're sending, because obviously there are people out there who are like, work. Like, the more you do, the more you get, the more you have to work, the more you have to get. And it's like, okay, this does not resonate with me anymore. But of course, in the past, like, it was so easy to fall kind of into those traps. So
yeah, for anybody listening, like, Sunny's method works. It really does. It transformed our lives, and we couldn't be more grateful to her for everything that has happened. And it can happen for you as well. It's right there available to you.
And another thing is that I also used to watch these. Like, I remember I would watch Geoffrey's. Like, I watched quite a few of these, and I was like, wow, this is so intense. It seemed impossible, but clearly it is possible.
But you're the reality that it's possible. And I would just like to say as well, like, you all are disrupting your space. Big reason why we do what we do is I am trying to disrupt and flip on its head what being an entrepreneur and being a successful entrepreneur looks like, and defining success on your own terms, not some arbitrary idea that we have to climb a ladder and we have to hustle our faces off and end up in the hospital at 29 years old with the symptoms of stroke. Doesn't need to happen. So that really means more to me than anything, that you guys are doing this in a way that is sustainable, it is purposeful, and it's creating a really big impact while also giving you your time and your freedom back. So just so much kudos, and we'll see where you are like a year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
Yes. Thank you both so much. And thanks for everyone. Thanks everyone for watching. And if you want to take that opportunity to book a free course consultation, go ahead and click that link. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Margarita and Dixon. Bye.